All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, since David Tepper purchased majority ownership of the Carolina Panthers back in 2018, this franchise has become a calamity of errors. The Panthers have never had a winning record on Tepper's watch, while they've lost at least 10 games in each of the last 5 years. Six different head coaches under Tepper, and we're about to get a seventh. This is a team that just last spring traded up in the draft to select Bryce Young first overall, and so far at least, it's been a disaster. Now, we saw the video surface this past Sunday when the Panthers were in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, where Tepper appears to be throwing a drink at a fan at the stadium in Jacksonville. The NFL has responded by fining Tepper $300,000, which is less than a slap on the wrist, for a guy who has a net worth over $20 billion. Then on top of that, honestly, let's be real here. Under Tepper, the Panthers have arguably become the worst franchise in the NFL, and he's rapidly becoming the worst owner in the National Football League, which is hard to do as well. If you're a Panthers fan, it stinks right now. You look at this team, they've lost at least 10 games in each of the last 5 years. And I talked about this earlier this season rather, when the Panthers made the decision to move on from Frank Reich. And Frank Reich is a veteran coach, well respected around the NFL. And you didn't even give him a season. And you figure they gave up a lot to go out there and move up to get Bryce Young, a quarterback who Frank Reich didn't want. And this was a David Tepper decision from what people have basically let it out there as. But nonetheless, everybody's not on the same page with this within this organization, and you take your cues from the top, and you don't have any consistency or stability, especially since you are going through head coaches so rapidly. I mean, you got to look at it like this: a lot of these moves that David Tepper or this front office has been making under David Tepper, they're really, reactionary, so to speak. Since he took over, no head coach for the Carolina Panthers has gotten 3 seasons. And we're just talking about 2018. And it's a long list of guys who have been the head coach in Charlotte for this team. And it's going to grow again because I guarantee you that the Panthers are going to go out there and look for another head coach. And whomever that person is going to be, he's got a tall task on his hands. He's got to find a way to fix Bryce Young and show that he can, you know, be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But whoever's taking over this job is at a disadvantage. Why? Because you don't have the first round pick, which is first overall. And for a team as bad as the Carolina Panthers, you really need that pick because there's a lot of help and a lot of pieces that need to be put in place for this club if they're going to compete going forward. So you look at it uh, back, to David Tepper. Again, like I said before, you take your cues from the top of your organization, but he is on a fast track to nowhere as an owner in the National Football League. If this was a bigger market team or more marquee club, so to speak, I think the issues that have come up under his watch would have been magnified even more. But nonetheless, it's one of those where if behavior like this continues, the National Football League is not going to have a choice but to send him on his way as an owner and bring in somebody else. I would assume, and I could be wrong on this, but I would go out there and say, I'm sure there are plenty of Panthers fans that would love to see David Tepper go because again, you look at the state of this team under Jerry Richardson. The Panthers, they weren't a dominant team each year, but they could give you playoff runs every couple of years. You think about the Cam Newton, Ron Rivera era in Charlotte. They had 4 trips to the postseason, and of course, the biggest one coming in 2015, Cam Newton's MVP year when they went to the Super Bowl. You think about the John Fox time as the head coach of the Panthers. They gave you a couple of trips to the postseason. Of course, when Dom Capers initially came in, that first run in 1996, but nonetheless, under David Tepper, again, this team is on the fast track to nowhere. Bad decision after bad decision after bad decision have plagued this organization. You take your cue from the top of who's running things, and right now, David Tepper is not doing good things for the Carolina Panthers. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.